And in this experience, I would start out in an RV, and the RV was being driven by a golden guide. And I was sitting more towards the front, and I'm looking out. The RVs, they have a big kind of windshield, and I'm looking out of the middle. And when I'm looking out the middle, I'm kind of looking where we're going, and I look at the driver, who I recognize as a golden guide, and then I look into the back of the RV. And when I look into the back of the RV, I see that there's 4 or 5 individuals who, not all of them I recognize their faces as they were sitting closer towards the back. They were more sort of obscured. And the only lady I did recognize was the one sitting closest to me. Consciously, I don't know her in the personal physical realm or things like this, but I did have a recognition of her face in the experience. And as her body language was, it was like she had one leg out towards me, and she was sitting down, and she was sort of leaning on her hands, sort of like propping herself up. And and I knew that the overall idea of us being in this RV and seeing them was that they were going to step up, and that the idea of being in the RV was to go on these certain assignments or these missions to where we were gathering up uh, folks around the world who are ready to step up. And another interesting detail with this experience was the world was sort of in like a sort of an unconscious state. There was these something you might say like zombies or something, and they were going around devouring, consuming, and really tap lining the sort of aware folks who were ready to step up, trying to get them to be part of their little machine, sort of little kind of a single consciousness, kind of little destruction machine. And as we were going around, we were going to all these different parts of the world. We weren't just kind of local. We were sort of all over, even fishing people out of the water, because a lot of the land, not only was it this kind of zombie apocalypse or thing going on, a lot of the land masses had sunk. Like certain parts of the US were completely underwater. Certain parts of the world were just totally like underneath the ocean, essentially underneath the waves. And it really wasn't so much literal that it was like, oh, this is going to happen. It just was sort of a representation of the effects that, this sort of unconscious effects that could happen from all sort of the heaviness and the darkness that people are in. And so it was kind of funny. We were with Rebazar in sort of like a rowboat, and he was rowing the boat, and me and these other individuals, again, one of which I recognized, we were throwing out these lines on fishing poles and reeling people in. It was kind of funny. I thought that was a little like almost like a comedy thing. And so that was our little assignment. We were going around gathering up these people, sort of gathering them before they were destroyed or sort of converted into these unaware creatures. And what was very interesting was is in one of the last scenes of the experience, we went to Germany, and a specific part of Germany where Ava is from. I don't know the specific place, but I this was the impression, is that it was the area that she was from, and we had went to where her house was, or supposedly. And within the house was Ava herself, and she was very focused. She was on the computer making these new images, and I had climbed through an open window. And when I climbed through the window, Ava had turned and smiled at me, and she sort of had this recognition that it was sort of time to go. And so we took her into the boat, and we were sort of rowing away. And it was very interesting that when we were rowing away, all the rest of the land around that area where she was, it was like the light went off. It just totally sunk beneath the waves. And I sort of was seeing that the awareness of the individual and the real intent sort of uplifts an area, and the people in that area, and in the absence of them, it sort of sinks. They sort of succumb to its own effects. And so again, we were just continuing this little assignment. So that was the experience in general. There's a little bit more detail. Again, I'll copy and paste it once I'm back at my computer. So thank you anyways.
Yeah, that's very good, Jeremy. Many of us are doing that actually last night. Another part of Ava, because we're all over the place. We were in a neighborhood going door to door, letting people know. And in the sky, I could see two, it was kind of a prelude of these two kind of globes way out there, something like you'd see in the clouds, but they were gigantic. And I could see two of them And as I was walking in front of this person's house, where Ava went up to the step and was going to knock on the door, I looked from the view of that house outward into the sky, and all of a sudden could not see these two globes. So the idea is that I could see them, all right? And I would say my impression was basically that it was the armada coming. But when I was standing there from the viewpoint of the individual off of their house, the sidewalk in front of them could not be seen. And so anyhow, so yeah, we're all doing it in our own way, going door to door like trick-or-treating or what have you, letting people know this is what we're doing on the real side and here, etc. So you know, it's a big course, it's a big journey. Pay attention. Yes, thank you, Jeremy.